Last but not least, and to conclude the day for us, we have the IFC Edge roundtable discussion to unpack unlocking funding opportunities. Dennis Kwanzaa, the Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana lead for the Green Building Market Transformation Program at IFC Edge, will moderate the session. Over to you, Dennis.
Thank you, Gideon. Okay, so I would want to invite the panelists onto the stage. We do have Babatobe Davis from Stanbic IBTC, and then we have Tole Shokinu from Access, and then Dio Oyango from IFC will be joining us virtually. I hope he's already on. Can we project that? And Benga Adelenke from Access Bank, if he's here. Okay, so sorry, it seems we got the graveyard shift today. But, yeah, nothing we can do about that. Anyway, so my name is Dennis. I work for the IFC on the EDGE program. And on this panel today, we have representatives from major institutions across the West Africa region who are playing leading role when it comes to financing the built environment. And I mean, the common theme, as you can see, is they are all focused on and very active in green building. They all have projects that have been certified green and are making green priority for their investments. Now, the main purpose of this session is for us to really look at what we can do to make green financing a norm for developers that want to build green. So maybe I'll just start with Tope, since you are very close to me. So what are the different financing options that are available when it comes to financing green certified projects? And what exactly is Stanbic Bank doing to promote that?
Okay, thanks. Hi, okay. Thanks so much, Dennis. So, as has been said over time, over the course of the different panels, conversations, buildings contribute a lot to the greenhouse emissions. So, for us as Stanbic IBTC, we have commitments to also, of course, doing our own part towards reducing general environmental footprint accordingly as well. So we do have, as Stanbic IBTC Real Estate Finance, we do have this goal, and we do have the drive to support and are looking to support housing, real estate projects that are cognizant of the need to reduce their greenhouse footprints. So it's key for us, and we are looking to prioritize projects in that direction. So in terms of specific, we have two separate product types that product types and buckets where these projects can fall into. They can be either it's a straightforward green loan where it is backed by green certifications from the likes of IFC Edge, LEED certification, and then so based on that we can package the loan as a green loan. The other one is it's going to be sustainable finance linked, but ultimately it's about doing our own part as a financial institution as well to grant some sort of financial incentive for projects that are looking to go green. So it's not a lot, but at least it comes in form of a discounted interest rates that will provide some funding incentive for investors. Thank you.
Okay, great. So let me come to you, Tolu. I think the product that Tope mentioned, I think Access may have had access to that before. So from your experience, was it worth it? Was it as cheap as, was it cheaper than what you may ordinarily have received?
Yeah, so thank you for the question, and thank you all for sticking with us in the graveyard shift. I will say that we've had 2 loans from Stanbic in Nigeria, as an example. We refinanced the Jabi Lake Mall, which is our mall in Abuja, and we also refinanced the Heritage Place office building in Lagos. And we were able to get decent discounts on the refinancing costs as a part of that process, which has been very good for our investment.
Great. Okay, so Dio, I think we have Dio joining us virtually. Are you able to take us through some of the work that IFC is doing to make green financing common in Nigeria and then the broader West African market?
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. And again, reiterate, thank you for staying with us in the graveyard shift. Great progress has been made in Nigeria since the journey began in 2014. And throughout this period, IFC provided technical support, firstly to the Central Bank of Nigeria and to the whole financial sector, primarily on sustainable banking and finance. And this culminated with the development of the Nigerian Sustainable Finance Principle, which were issued out in 2016 and for implementation by the whole sector. And then that also then led to the issuance of the first sovereign green bond, actually in Africa by Nigeria, by the federal government of Nigeria in 2017. And then very quickly followed by, a corporate green bond, first corporate green bond in sub-Saharan Africa by Access Bank. And we have one of our panelists is from Access Bank, so I'm sure we'll hear more around that. So congratulations to Access Bank for doing that. And throughout this period, the technical support that IFC provided was a lot around training, a lot around bringing best practices, peer learning engagements with all of the, starting with Central Bank of Nigeria staff, and also going through the financial sector and providing really a good sort of partnership in understanding what does sustainable banking entail, what does it, what are the opportunities, and those opportunities then led to the issuances. So we're really proud of that partnership that Nigeria has, and the fact that Nigeria is continuing to be a leader in sustainable banking and finance across Africa. So there's been other also engagements that we've had, the development of the sustainable finance framework for the debt capital markets together with FMDQ, the OTC Securities Exchange. And very interestingly enough, we're at the moment even working with them to really look at different other aspects of climate finance, carbon credits. So that's kind of a continuous engagement of really, financing or bringing other tools and expertise to the country. We also participated in the Green Bond Technical Committee that was organized by the Ministry of Environment in 2017, and that kind of led to the sovereign issuance. And so that's part of what we've done in Nigeria. Similarly, across the region in Ghana, as an example, IFC, through the Sustainable Banking and Finance Network, has supported the establishment and implementation of the principles, sustainable banking principles in Nigeria. And even yesterday, our regional director actually was at the launch with the Ghana Stock Exchange, where they are launching the framework that will enable within fixed income issuances for green fixed income issuances, and that just happened yesterday. And then if we look at the partnership across, so we can continue into Cote d'Ivoire, into Senegal, and into other countries where we're continuing to do the same. It really starts with first establishing a partnership with the regulator, then using that also to establish a partnership with the banking community, and then with that, being able to castigate an enabling environment, which then leads us to the next step, which is supporting corporate issuances. And in most cases, what IFC then anchors those issuances to actually bring credibility for investors around the world. Thank you.
Great. This leads me to my next question, which I'll direct to Tolu. So when we speak to a lot of developers that are interested in building green, one of the biggest needs that come out is equity financing, right? So how is Access as an institution supporting such developers with that much needed equity that they're looking at?
I think I'm back now. Thank you for that. So So maybe I'll step back. So one of our key strategies is that we're pursuing an income fund strategy. And with that strategy, we're pivoting away from doing ground-up developments where we're acquiring assets that are already operating. And one of the linchpins of that strategy is that all the assets that are going to be in that fund must be green. So they must have as a baseline IFC EDGE certification. As I mentioned, in Nigeria, we have the Heritage Page, which is a LEED certified building. Jabi is now an IFC EDGE certified building, which you worked on, Dennis. Hello? Okay. So our plan is to continue to proliferate this strategy across the continent. So in doing that, not only are we retrofitting our existing portfolio, but developers that we plan to back, one of the things that will be critical will be to ensure that the buildings that they deliver have very strong green credentials. And as a minimum, we'll have to meet IFC EDGE. So we're negotiating at this point in time, sale leasebacks with corporates, forward purchases with developers, and one of the critical elements is ensuring that they build or they reposition it to be green for several reasons, which we can get into later.
Great. Just following up on that with Tope. So mostly developers also complain that traditional, credit underwriting models that are usually used by the banks like yourself are not compatible with financing of green projects. Are you aware of this, and what exactly is Stanbic doing differently?
Okay. For me, I think the real question is around the economic viability of the projects themselves. To say, okay, fine, and the questions are, of course, you are considering the impact on the costs, and then the second leg of the transaction will there be the impact on the ongoing maintenance costs. So originally, green buildings are thought to be manifestly more expensive than if they were otherwise not green. And I think historically that's because, okay, fine, because the new technologies were new, and then developers were probably not as used to the green building solutions, but things have moved since then. Now the cost of developing a building as green is within anything between 15 to 20% more expensive rather than the 30-40% people thought it would be. So the cost difference in setting up the building is not as high as it used to be. That's on one side. The second leg is then when you consider the fact that following the green, if you build following those green principles, the operations and maintenance costs of the assets is manifestly cheaper compared to otherwise. You are not consuming as much power, you're not consuming as much diesel, etc. You're not consuming as much water. So before you know what's happening, the cost of maintaining the building is much lower. So if you're looking at the cost from the economic viability from a life cycle perspective, the conversation is slightly different. That's even before you consider the fact that, okay, fine, the fact that your building can now be posted as a green building attracts a different profile of tenants. There are some tenants who actively want to come into the building because it is green, and because the tenants see lower service charge and lower costs, you may also be able to attract more attractive rentals. So instantly, your economic viability conversation is much different compared to, so it's not just a question of, so it's a one-sided view if you look at just merely, it's going to cost me more to make it green. But if you look at the cost from a life cycle perspective, you'll find that there is economic benefit for you, even beyond the green benefit, in fact, okay, your commitment to the environment. There's economic benefit for you to make the building green. And then you add on top of that the financial incentives that you can then get from financial institutions like ourselves. It just becomes icing on the cake.
Great. Thanks a lot. Dio, so I know IFC has a program called MAGIC, that's a market accelerator for green construction. Do you think this is something that we could explore in Nigeria and West Africa? And how can we use this to help promote green financing?
Thank you very much again. So just maybe to kind of go, look at what IFC is doing in the housing space, right? So I'll just step back a little bit. So one of the primary reasons why IFC is actually focusing on housing is because if you kind of look back, Africa is expected to be the home for 2.5 billion people by 2050, which is, a quarter of the world's population. And more so, there's over 470 million people that are living in cities across sub-Saharan Africa. Now, that's expected to double, but that also places a huge demand on the services that a city will provide. The primary one that it will provide is housing. And then there are others like transport, clean water, healthcare, and many others, right? But housing is a very key part of, the cities that we have, the cities where the economic base of our continent will actually be driven. So part of that reason is why IFC is there saying, this is an area that we really need to focus on. And the fact that also housing is also the built area is one of the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases. So, there's a sort of a dual role. One is there's a transformation, that intervention that's required to focus on African cities and urban systems. But the other is also the fact that housing and the built area is actually one of the biggest emitters, approximately, between about 8% of greenhouse gases actually comes from the built environment. So this is kind of the reason why, So what is IFC then doing in that is, so IFC is looking to focus on funding of green buildings, especially for Africa, with the fact that we really have a huge deficit of housing. So this is an opportunity to leapfrog. So the idea of encouraging greener building, the idea of kind of pushing for more affordable housing that is also green, really kind of captures a dual sort of goal that the continent really needs right now. So what is IFC therefore doing is, looking at investing on greener construction and supporting that. IFC has developed a universal standard for green construction, which is the excellence in design for greater efficiency. And that has helped sort of make it more cost effective and affordable to assess being able to develop a green building. But then beyond just, being an investor and developing tools, what IFC has done is also to go look for, be able to crowdfunding that then also incentivizes. And so this is why in 2018, IFC and the UK government, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, got into a partnership. And the main idea of the partnership is to really crowd concessional financing to encourage developers to actually build green. As I'm sure you've heard throughout the day in discussions around EDGE, the cost of going green, and one of my panelists just mentioned, the perception in the market is going green is very, very expensive. But what we've found out through the EDGE system is that the additional cost of going green is just about 5%, right? So, getting developers to actually understand that it's the additional cost of going green is just 5%. And that's kind of the subsidy, the concessional financing that this program, together with the UK government, is looking to achieve. So the program itself is called the Market Accelerator for Green Construction. It's a funding that IFC has been able to crowd with the UK government. It will utilize a range of financial instruments that will be designed to maximize the impact of the funding that a financial institution will be giving to a developer for either residential or commercial green construction. And really, so what the way that the funding will go is IFC will finance through financial intermediaries who will then drive green constructions through their portfolio based on the actual market need. And that market need in Nigeria, we've worked very closely with our specialists in the country, the specialists in the country to really see where the opportunities are. We've had numerous engagement with the financial institutions, and they all see the need for it. They're all very much working to bring in funding for the affordable housing sector. And through magic, we fully are collectively between IFC, our financial intermediary partners, we are very encouraged by the opportunity that this funding, the concessional financing that the IFC and the UK have been able to put together, will be able to accelerate housing residential or even commercial, and building completely green, right? With the expected impact being energy, water savings, and reduced emissions.
Okay, great. So we are very likely to see Magic being implemented in Nigeria very soon.
That's absolutely. So very recently, myself and our global coordinator for Magic actually were in Lagos. We met with 5 institutions, all with large portfolios in the real estate sector. So I won't mention all the names, but all the top institutions and second tier. And they were all very clear of that there is a clear opportunity here. They already are at the moment doing a bit of work to churn through their portfolios. And through that, what we are expecting is that by 2023, at least 3 of these institutions will start offering some type of capacity, for access for the developers with Magic. Now, there's also 2 ways that we are attacking the problem, right? So there's obviously issues around cost of financing within the country, local currency and all. So we are working very closely with our investment team within IFC to develop structures which are either done directly with the financial intermediary partner, or also looking at various vehicles that would be able to still enabled for, and there are vehicles that the Nigerian government has put in place. Just to name a few: family home loans, and also the NMRC. So these are institutions that are looking at how do we catalyze, and so we are working with them to figure out, beyond just the direct sort of engagement with the financial intermediary or with the banks or financial institutions in Nigeria, how could we also leverage some of this concessional institutions that already have innate concessional financing in Naira within the country, to also catalyze affordable housing in the country and to take advantage of the UK government's concessional financing for the developers to build green.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so coming back to Tolu, what's coming next for you? For Actis, what are the new trends and some of the things that you're focusing on being a key player in this market?
Yeah, thank you for that. Look, so it's a bit of more of the same. So I touched on the fact that we're a big believer in this sector, right? And we've been at this for a very long time. We've delivered in our energy business over 11 gigawatts of renewable energy on the planet. We have been ranked highest scored on UN PRI indices for the last 5 years. So this for us is something we've always done. We're looking in the real estate sector, specifically in Africa, is to continue to proliferate this message. Like I said, we have assets across 2 opportunistic funds that we're actively looking to green. Like I said, we just greened Jabi. We're looking to green our projects in Cameroon, the Douala Grand Mall. All these projects are already designed in anticipation of getting some sort of sustainability credentials in the future. So we're looking to do that. In the income fund, where, like I said, we're also doing those acquisitions, and that's going to be critical to us. And for us, it's not, it's in addition to what Babatope said, which is, there's the acquisition piece, there's the fact that, it's a much cheaper cost of occupancy over the life of the asset. But ultimately, at exit, we believe that you will be paid back for that, right? So future-proofing it is critical for us. So you're just going to see more of this happening.
And just to round up, Tope, are we expected to see any new green products from Stanbic or Nigerian markets?
Absolutely. It's continuing to be a key focus for us, and it's where responsible building is going. It's where responsible financing also is going. So we are like I mentioned earlier, we are actively looking to support projects that are in that direction. Is real estate required to continue to spur Africa's growth? Yes, across all the different sectors of the segments of the real estate market, whether it's residential, office, industrial, retail. All of those are still required for Africa's growth. All of that can be done going green. So the fact that we want to build a warehouse, you can make it. So all of those can be done going green, and we as Stanbic IBTC will we constantly are looking to support such projects. So yes, definitely, we expect to continue to see more of those, and more green supported financings from Stanbic IBTC.
Great.
Yeah.
So at this juncture, I will just open up to the room. Sorry, do you want to come in?
No, I was just going to comment. One of the great things about the Stanbic, Access Bank, Sterling Bank, the financial institutions in Nigeria is they're not just talking about it; they're actually already doing it for their own buildings. So if you look at their portfolio of buildings, they're completely greening their buildings. They're making sure that they're EDGE certified. Standard Bank is doing the same for its new building to make it sure that it's 100% EDGE certified. Including sort of savings for energy and water. That's the same thing that Access Bank is doing. Sterling Bank is doing the same. And it's not only just their headquarter offices, it's also their branches where they're putting solar power. So there's a clear understanding by the institutions of the need to do this. And therefore, they're doing it for themselves as a demonstration for their clients. Right? What a better way to actually showcase to the clients that building green is right, because they are experiencing the exact savings that they're talking about. So this is one of the most commendable things about what is going on between in being able to look at partnering with Nigerian financial institutions to bring financing that will help more green construction. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. So I want to open up if there's any question from the room. My panelists will be very happy to take it. Okay, so I guess everybody is happy. So, yeah, so there you have it. There are more products coming onto the market. There is actually green financing available on the market if you do what is needed. And I can say Stanbic is ready to support, IFC is ready to support, Access are investing in projects. So the notion that green financing is not available, I mean, it all depends on how you do your project. If it's done in the right way to meet the standard that you're looking for, you would be able to get it. EDGE is always available to help you get these projects to be green. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thanks, Dennis. Thank you.